All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. I got a mix of hats I can put on today. I got this one. I like this one a lot. Yeah, baby, I like this one.
That Detroit hat is clean.
Yeah, this is the one I like. This is the one I'm pulling for, baby. Hey, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. You're listening to us right here now on YouTube, also out there on Twitter. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everywhere you can look on social media. Check us out. If you're on Twitter, make sure you, head on over to YouTube and give us a like. A lot of stuff going on today. I think the biggest surprises to me today were this one and this one. These are the two surprises of the day right here. These two, not a surprise at all. Not a surprise at all. The Mets are
hot.
Cooking. They're cooking. Yeah. And Detroit's cooking. I mean, in the old days, you might look and go, whoa, maybe it's going to line up to be Detroit and the Mets. But I think we could see a Yankees Padres like we did in 98. Wasn't that 98 the series? Yeah, 98 Yankees Padres.
Not a competitive series.
No, 4-0. That was not a good series. That was Boch's team as he got there as a manager for the Padres, but
and Tony Gwynn hit one in the upper deck at Yankee Stadium. Yeah. I think that was the highlight reel.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna. What do you guys say? What's the best one to wear tonight? I think it's this one.
Yeah.
It's clean. It's Dan, or is that Detroit? I think it's Dan. You
gotta make it custom made. Go to Lids and they'll put the A and the N with the Detroit logo on it. That's
really there. We go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mark Graves right out of the hopper. Yeah. Cole Reagan's been a bulldog all year for KC. Phillip, Dan, Lou, and Los. 3 the hard way. Yeah, here we are, guys.
Detroit did have the Cy Young, so let's remember that. And he showed today why he is a Cy Young.
Oh, dang, man. Then he got hit on the wrist, that bullet back to the mound. Yep. I thought, oh, my gosh, did that hit him in his pitching hand? And, we said a few days ago, look out for Detroit because they're saving Scooble for game 1. Worked out perfectly for Detroit. Yep. That's what you do. You take the bull by the horn yourself. You got on a hot streak. You didn't wait till Sunday to have to pitch Scooble in a do or die game to get in the playoffs. No, you won it Friday against the lowly White Sox at home, but you did what you have to do. Unlike Arizona, who couldn't beat the Giants twice in their ballpark, all you had to do is win 2 or 3 and they're in. Arizona.
That's going to haunt them for a long time this offseason.
Or the Padres had already clinched.
Yeah, and then they lose 2 or 3 to the Padres. After the Padres just clinched, and then Friday night, the Padres clinched the 4th, spot, the home field advantage for the wild card. And so they weren't even trying. They threw out some AAA guy Saturday, and he hit the Diamondbacks for 6 innings. Why isn't Sale pitching tomorrow, Mark? He's hurt. He's got back spasms.
They covered it up.
Yeah. So
all a lie.
So here's the deal with the Tigers. I like what they're doing because they, like I said, they didn't wait around. They went and took care of the business themselves, got in the playoffs, and now they could set up their rotation, and they believe in themselves. It's a young group. And you know what? I think they can beat Houston. And if they take on Houston, let's see, they were the 6th seed. So they would go and face the 2 seed, Cleveland, which they know well because they're in their division.
Like Cleveland.
Yeah. I mean, look at the stinking American League Central. Everybody thought the worst division in baseball, right? You had the Cleveland Guardians, the Kansas City Royals, and the Detroit Tigers, and the Minnesota Twins were the next team that was eliminated. They were pretty.
Giants are lucky they weren't in that division. They would have finished dead last.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I love playoff baseball. The atmosphere is electric. Did you notice, Los and Lou, guys like, flying around off a base hit from second? They're on second and they're flying around third. They're sliding at home, even though there's no throw. It is like you give 110% on every play.
Because there is no tomorrow.
Yeah, there's no tomorrow. How about the play by Iglesias? Did you see that play where he dove into first base and got his hand in there before the pitcher? I think it was Blanco might have been on the mound. I can't remember who was on the mound for Houston. Couldn't get to the bag. Oh, and it scored a run.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
The efforts are off the charts now for playoff baseball for sure.
And how about the ninth inning? Houston, it's 3-0. It's now 3-1. They got runners on, bases loaded.
Yeah. It was crazy. And the pressure, you're thinking, oh my goodness, is Detroit going to choke? They're the young team. They're facing this, juggernaut who's been to the ALCS 7 straight years. And then you're like, no, it can't happen. Because Houston won in the ninth inning, or even if they tied it, I think they win the game and the series is over. The series is over. Detroit shot their wad. It's kind of like, oh man, we gave it our best shot and we blew it in the ninth. Teams like that, when those happen, it doesn't come back. But I think they got the momentum. They're excited. Look, the Giants might have had their president of baseball ops in Scott Harris a few years ago.
Yep.
And maybe he left for a reason.
And you know what?
Saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about it tomorrow night. There was an article written by one Dieter Kurtenbach who said that this feels like a move by the Giants, a desperation.
He's getting heat for that article for sure.
And he'll be on here tomorrow night at 8:30 to talk about it. I just confirmed it. So beautiful. I like Dieter. I like a man who can say what he believes and stand behind it.
Yeah.
Hey, look, Buster, I watched the press conference today. I'm a Buster fan. But what I got out of that press conference today is he's not really the plan is he's like I don't know.
He's not a guy to throw people under the bus. They were trying to bait him with some questions about, talking about Farhan and what went wrong. And, he wanted to say some things. I always make comments on the show about you got to get people off the camera or off the microphone and they'll tell you how they really feel. But he didn't want to, I guess, burn any bridges or throw anybody under a bus, all those cliches. But he knows. I mean, you could kind of read between the lines what he wanted to say and what he actually did say. So
yeah, they were showing respect to Farhan, and I get that, and I understand that. But I think what I'm hearing, he's going to talk to Sabian. I don't necessarily think it's about bringing Sabian in. I think it's probably they're leaning. My gut tells me this Billy Owens of the A's is the guy that they're going to look at. I don't know why. If I'm Buster, now I'm obviously not Buster, but if I'm Buster, why mess with success? Why not just bring in the architect of the 3 World Series championships and bring Brian back? Now, I will say this.
Could be money.
I don't want anybody from the A's except Brent Rooker.
Yeah.
Nobody. We've already done that with the A's with Farhan. Now, this guy probably is nothing like him, but I keep hearing the name and I don't know him. I haven't studied him, but a young executive with the Red Sox, they say is excellent at player personnel. And he could, I forgot the name. It was mentioned a couple times today.
Yeah. Dan, Lou, Lowe's, you were right. John Shea with first of after Farhan Fired articles that should have been written a year ago. Yeah, there's a lot of Aaron. It's playoffs when you see American League teams playing small ball and bunting because each run is so crucial. How about that in the bottom of the ninth? 3-1, runners on first and second, and the Astros no out bunt to get runners in scoring position, second, third. Because I don't understand why teams don't do this in the regular season. What is that game? Does everything of baseball go out the window?
And Dan, how good was that throw by the catcher?
Yeah.
That guy, if he did not make a perfect throw, it reminded me of when the Giants won game 1 of the ALCS. I'm sorry, the NLCS, when they threw it down the thing. I mean, it was such a perfect throw. And they even talked about it like, oh my God, the pressure, you're on the road, the place is roaring. It was such a good bunt. He actually told the pitcher, get the hell out of the way. A 360 spin, and it was a laser.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. That was a beautiful throw. I like that. How you being a former catcher, get out of my way.
Get out of the way. He did everything right.
Get out of my way. That was pretty awesome to see because that could have been a mess.
Yeah. The one thing I do like this playoff thing, because you know what? Detroit, we're all excited, but they've only won one game. They still need to win another game on the road. You remember, it's
on the road,
3 games,
on the road.
3 days.
No, it's great. I think it's great. I think what they've done, I'm not a great fan of all these teams making it, but then I look at when you get to the playoffs and I'm going, man, it's exciting. And if you're one of those teams, like look at Arizona last year, winning 84 games and getting to the World Series. This year, they won 89 and didn't make it. That's the way it should be. I almost feel like there should be a minimum. Like, you got to win 86 games to get in the playoffs. Come on. But
didn't the Dodgers win the World Series when they beat the A's in 88? Weren't they? They were like 4 games over 500. They were bad, but they got on.
Yeah. You know what? It is cool though to see an underdog. I mean, as Americans, don't we always root for the underdog in a way?
Always.
I mean, so who's the biggest underdog this year? Is it Detroit? I think it is in the American League.
Why is nobody talking about Cleveland?
I have. That's my pick. That's my pick to come out of the AL. I love their bullpen.
Then I got San Diego, but Cleveland, you know what? They're so under the radar. They have probably one of the biggest superstars in baseball that nobody knows about, who actually is only making $17 million a year because he said the money's not important. I want a championship. That's the type of guy I want.
Ramirez.
And he is a stud. He's great with the fans. It's one of those things nobody talks about him. And by the way, they lost a Hall of Fame manager, and now they're just still as good. So if we're ever, need an advice of what a great organization is, look at Cleveland in the last 20 years. That's all I'm going to say.
They have the manager I wanted the Giants to get.
Yeah, Stephen Vogt. Yeah.
I wanted a fresh start, complete fresh start. I wanted a rebooted manager. I wanted a new guy to learn with the new guys that were on the team, players-wise.
Dusty Baker was a first-time manager with the Giants.
On the MLB Network show, they brought up one thing. They were asking, who do you like to win it? And they said the National League, it's a gauntlet. It's tough. You have Philly, the Dodgers, you have the Padres. When you go to the American League, every team sort of has a problem. And when you talked about Kansas City, who had a real rough last month, Detroit, who played well, are you aware what Detroit and KC's combined record was against the Chicago White Sox?
Whose record?
Kansas City against Chicago White Sox and Detroit against the White Sox.
Well, I know the White Sox lost 2 of 3 at the end of the season. I'm guessing maybe they were 6-7 against the White Sox.
Nope.
5-8.
Nope. Detroit was 11-2.
Oh, okay.
And the other one was 12-1. So all I'm saying is they said, hey, if it wasn't for the White Sox, they wouldn't have made it.
True, they
neither
had him
team.
in their division. They had him in the
Yeah. So, I mean, you got, again, you don't think about that, but they said, the National League, whoever gets out of the National League is going to win the World Series, because the Yankees right now still have a problem with starting pitching, and their bullpen is, who knows? Cleveland has great starting pitching, but their bullpen sort of is shady. Detroit has 2 studs, but you got to get to their bullpen. They just don't have enough offense. Cincinnati has 2 great players, and the stud, and then, of course, the old timer, my favorite catcher. But, everybody else, it's tough. But I think what makes this is, now that I remember, is I love it when the Dogs win the first 2 games, and you can see how good these teams are that have the home field.
right.
You get every advantage in the book. Like San Diego, if they would have lost tonight after everything that happened with the Mets playing the doubleheader in Atlanta and they had to fly, then, it would have not been the Padres here. But that's what makes baseball. You never know what's going to happen. That's baseball. Playoffs are sort of like the NCAA Final Four. Every year you're surprised, and you shouldn't be shocked. And today was a perfect example.
I think Houston's going to bounce back, but the team that I think is in trouble is Baltimore, because last year they didn't hit in the playoffs, and they come out and they throw out a goose egg in game 1. So they got a little pressure they're squeezing those bats a little tight, because they really underperformed last year, and they did not start out good. So they might be in a little trouble with KC. KC's playing with house money.
All right, what's up, buddy?
How you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, boy.
Have you guys talked about the Posey presser at all yet?
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
What did you guys think of it?
I found out something today that I did not know. And to be frank, it pissed me the F off. And that was, I did not know that Farhan was very uncomfortable taking this position after all the Giants championships, and he had murals and memorabilia removed in the hallways.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So let me start with that. Why the hell would ownership allow him to do that in the first place? Why would the owners of this team allow a new president of baseball operations to come in and remove one of the most sacred history teams, the first teams to win World Series in San Francisco, anything that reminded it? How effing insecure can you be? I had no idea that was the case. My God, like my anger toward Farhan just went from here to here when I heard that, and that the ownership would allow that. I mean, no wonder there was a lot of uncomfortableness with him. And then other stories coming out about how cold he was. I heard a story on the morning show this morning that he was at the baseball Bay Area Hall of Fame when Sabian got put in, and there was a lot of Giants dignitaries. And Farhan was just standing in the corner, like not even shaking hands or being social with anybody. It's just an ice, a freaking mannequin. Like the dude was so cold with such a personality as you can have, and how he lasted 6-7 years is just beyond me. But removing World Series stuff just blew me the F away. I could not believe it. I was hot when I heard that. I was hot. You don't remove history like that.
There was there wasn't too much to take away from the press conference, in my opinion. Posey, Greg Johnson, Bob Melvin, they didn't say much.
Vanilla.
They said a lot without saying a lot. The one comment that I liked was the memory maker, right? Posey talked about wanting to make memories. I don't remember the specific comment. It was like, we want to be memorable. We want to make memories. I like that. I liked how he was all about the players, because it is all about the players. It's not about the GM. It's not about the manager. It's about the players. It's about the product on the field. And that, to me, he said a lot of things that just completely was the opposite of what Farhan did. Like he said that he's not going to be bearing down Bob Melvin's neck. He's going to let Bob Melvin manage. which is good. That's how a manager should be used. To me, one of the things that I really liked was that Posey wanted. They said a lot. He wanted the ball. He wants the accountability. He wants all the pressure on him. That makes me so happy because he knows that he has confidence that he can turn this thing around. If he didn't have any confidence, he wouldn't be taking this job because he wouldn't want to be fired. I mean, for him to want the ball, for him to want all the accountability to be on him, makes me think that he just exudes confidence throughout the whole organization.
Yeah.
And it makes me fired up because I can really see a vision and a future that's pretty good with this team with him in charge.
He also said that he was going to listen a lot, and that's key because he's going to probably hire a GM that has more experience than him, and like we talked about yesterday, hire other people in the front office that are more experienced than him, and that he's willing to listen to people that know a little bit more about this type of position. And then the one thing I really loved is, what are you looking for in your GM? I want somebody with a scouting background.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They say
Wow.
they say that Billy Owens has a lot of that too. So he knows all of the players out there. That's what I heard from Marty. So Marty was talking. By the way, guys, Marty Lurie has a new show called Marty Lurie and Friends. Make sure you check that out on YouTube. Go over there and subscribe. Marty will join us one night. I'm not sure if it'll be later this week, if it'll be Thursday. I know he's up in the Bay Area today at the press conference, and he's flying home tomorrow to Arizona, which is home. So I'll give him a day, maybe Thursday, maybe get him on if he's available. We'll be Thursday's also a day that I don't think there could be some game threes. There could be some game threes. So, and they'll make those in prime time, I'm sure, if there are. But we'll have tomorrow night Dieter Kurtenbach on the show to discuss the Posey hiring, the Farhan firing, and all of that. Diami Drums, $9.99. Thank you, Diami Drums. Says, "Grats on getting our team back. While everyone hops on board the Farhan needed to go train, you guys called it all the way. Keep it up. Thanks for all your time." Hey, thank you. Really appreciate that. That means a lot. We did call it. We not to, toot our own horn, but sometimes you got to, because we get so many haters coming at us because we do take a little different approach. We take a reality approach to the Giants. We'd love to come on here, all four of us, and be talking about the Giants like they have Shohei, Freddie Freeman, and Mookie Betts in the lineup, and they're murderers row, and this team can't be stopped. That's what we'd love to be talking about. But, we're baseball people. All four of us in this chat played the game, okay? We all played the game. Unlike a lot of chats out there where you got some guys that are just, never picked up a bat and faced a live pitcher.
T-ball.
Yeah, it's there is something to it, guys. I mean, look,
nothing like experience, right, Dan? Nothing
right.
Like experience.
Hey, look, certain things I don't have experience in. You get into engineering, man, I'm all ears. I'll listen to whatever you got to say because I know nothing when it comes to engineering. Okay, you get into tech stuff, not my gig, but
people got to stop being insecure about like not knowing things. Like you got to be willing to want to learn. Like Luca knows something I completely don't know nothing about. I'm not going to get mad at him for saying, "Oh, you're just showing off." No, tell me what you know. I want to learn.
And that's what I think Posey's going to bring.
Yes.
I don't think Posey's afraid to say, "Let me learn from you." Farhan to me is kind of that guy. He's that insecure guy where he thinks he's right all the time and he doesn't want to be wrong.
Right.
To me, Posey's like, okay, I'm new at this. We all know I'm new at this. Let me learn as much as I can to be the best I can be. I have 3 candidates right now that I'm thinking are a possibility. I think it could be Brian Sabian. He mentioned Brian Sabian
3 times.
3 times. He mentioned Billy Owens, or I don't know if he mentioned Billy Owens, but Billy Owens has been mentioned. And I think Kim Ing is a possibility too.
Possibility, yeah.
Posey said in the beginning of his press conference, I think he was like,
guys and then girls.
Guys and girls.
Yeah, guys and girls, and guys,
Yeah,
not women, guys and girls.
He had to correct himself.
He's young. He's 37. He's young. He's now in the corporate world at 37. Think about that, guys. He's an executive of a Fortune 500 company.
Whole different world.
Hoisted on him at age 37. Okay. You could see the inexperience in public speaking. He's a great public speaker. You know, he's a great actor on these commercials with Toyota. But remember, those Toyota commercials, you get several takes. You're getting the finished product. When you got to go live and you get a tough question, it's not easy. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, sometimes I'm on here talking, and I think my favorite word is You know, it's you're like trying to come up with your next thought, and it's and I know it's an issue. I hate it, but sometimes, you know, I didn't go to.
Dan,
not a professional at this, but
Dan,
give me my honest take. Go ahead, Lou.
One of the things I said, because I tell you the truth, don't like him, but Alex Papovich today had a great interview with Charles Johnson.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. And he actually said something that actually got me more excited than even Buster, new position. No more 1-year contracts. He mentioned one in, one opt. He said, you know, him being a majority owner, fans were sick of it. He was sick of it.
Who said they were sick of it? Buster or Greg
Charles Johnson?
Oh, Charles. You mean Greg?
I mean, whoever the majority owner started.
Yeah, Greg. Charles the daddy.
So, I mean, it was a great interview. You know, Alex actually, I even wrote him on Twitter. I said, hey, thanks for not being a homer and asking tough questions. Because he basically said, when did you know about this? Was Buster always your first choice? What sort of you, being a fan and being a majority owner, did you not like from the old regime? And he basically said, you know, these one and dones, he goes, because if they're good, they're going to move on. You know, I'd love to have.
And if they're not good, you're stuck with them.
You're stuck with them. And we're not doing that anymore.
Good.
He goes, you know, no more of this. He goes, I think we're going to go back. You know, one of the rules why they wanted Chapman is for 6 years is they weren't going to get him for 4. He wanted to stay here. Why not do the extra 2 years? You can at least build something.
Yeah, at least, you know what? You might get 3 good years out of Chapman. Maybe you get that 4th year and you eat the last 2, but that's the cost of doing business.
Yeah. And he said, he goes, the guys we want to get, you know, we want, you know, guarantee 4 years, because he said, you know, a lot of the players you sort of fall in love with. You know, it's no good if you get a superstar, they're here, you like them, and then they're gone. You know, but it was I liked hearing that, you know, because I think a lot of times we hear a lot of negative stuff. We don't know why. The other thing, KMBR had a former person on our show, Bobby Evans, and they basically asked Bobby Evans, is he over his head? What would you do if you were instructing him? Has he contacted you? And what's the best advice you could give fans when you have someone very new in this type of position? Because remember, he was in the organization, then he was the assistant GM, and then he became the GM. And he said, most importantly, he might make mistakes, but give him patience. And if he can get a good GM, let him do his job. You know, I mean, who knows? We could maybe start off the first 3 months. People are going to say, oh, it was a huge mistake. Everything takes time.
It's going to take time, guys. And don't.
Yeah, and he goes, we've had 6, really, tell you the truth, we take the good year out, 5 real bad years, you know. And when I first started, you know, we had to make changes, but you got to have patience. And guys, you have a guy in charge now that is really going to help. At least free agents aren't going to laugh the way Farhan was and the Giants. And the Giants now have respect. Just be patient and trust me. He's going to do a good job. Which, I like to hear. Plus, I loved it when you interviewed him. I'm not sure how you got him, but it was a great, great interview. So, Dan, well done.
I wanted to get to this comment here. Hiroku, the first story was Johnson wanted Farhan, but the other owners forced his hand. Interesting. I don't know. That's an interesting
I
one
think it
here.
was all Larry Bear.
We got that Larry Bear wanted him out?
No, Larry Bear, when Bora talked about stuff with Farhan and early stuff, I was told the final person and the final call to hire Farhan was Larry Bear.
Oh, Larry Bear was all after Farhan in 2018.
Because even though he's on the board, it was his call.
Larry went after it. He's the one that hired him. He's the one that got snowballed by him by this whole, I can bring in all this, and I can run this team, and I'll catch you up to be like the Dodgers, blah, blah, blah. Hey, Jeff Taylor, if Farhan's meddling prevented Melvin from managing the way he wanted to, what went
wrong?
What went wrong for him in San Diego? Well, he did get to the NLCS 2 years ago. Last year was a rough year. We'll see. I think Melvin's going to have to prove himself. I don't know if you heard the one question,
yep.
I think it was was it John Shea or Susan Slusser about the contract of, does Bob Melvin have an additional year, or is this his last year? And that got skirted around. You can obviously sound like he didn't have an extension because
he didn't answer the question.
If he did have an extension, you would just say, yeah, he's been extended. So this may be Bob Melvin's last year.
I think. I mean, this is definitely going to be Bob Melvin's shot. This is what he wants. Dan, you've said it. You think Posey and Melvin have been talking behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt.
Yeah, so Melvin gets his shot now. He gets to run the ball club the way he wants to, and we'll see where it comes.
Yeah, and I think it'll be different. I really do. I think it'll be different.
I think so too, yeah.
I think it's going to be different. Let me pull up. Okay. All right. No doubt. I got you. I want to pull up a couple comments here. This one, I don't know if Sabian is coming here. I think Posey mentioned him because he probably got advice from him about the position Posey is taking. Yeah, he's going to want to get his advice. I agree with you, Mark. I don't think Sabian is coming here. I think Buster's going to hire a GM that's a little more, probably a little bit younger, but we'll see. Stranger things have happened. I just know this. Buster's going to need somebody to run the day-to-day operations of a team. Look, I have talked to Ned a lot about what it's like to be a GM. And he just he'll laugh sometimes about how hard it is. It's just nonstop. And it's not something generally a guy that has no experience doing it, that has 4 young kids, that's, you're going to need somebody to be your right-hand man. And you're going to have somebody that's willing to come in and be the GM and not be run the whole show. Okay? Because most guys, if they're a previous POBO, if they're a president, former GM in the old days, POBO today, they don't want to come. They don't want to come in and just be second fiddle. They want to run the whole thing. Okay, they want to run the whole thing. They don't want to come in as I'll listen to what you need to tell me what to do. No. Generally, they want. Now, that's the thing. What is Buster's role? Is he president of baseball ops overseeing just everything, or is he going to be running it day to day? And I think you're going to have to get somebody who's probably never been top dog.
I think so too. To me, the Posey as the president of baseball operations screams to me more of a culture change than a day-to-day operations guy. I mean, we know who Posey is, 3-time World Series. We know who he is. I don't need to get into that. He's a great guy, and he's the type of culture you want to build around. So to me, these past 6 years have just been really bad. It's been a disaster. It's really been a disaster, and thank God that everybody in the organization has finally figured it out. To me, this is just get Posey on top, reset the culture, reset the organization, get back to your winning ways, and the GM, the assistant GM will work in. They'll all work together in the day-to-day operations, but to me, the GM is going to be the one who really handles the day-to-day operations. And I mean, I don't know if I would want Posey to, because he's never done it. I mean, he doesn't have a scouting background. He's a player. And
that may be why Dan mentioned that maybe the younger guy to deal with day-to-day operations might be the way they go.
Yeah. It's interesting. We're kind of talking playoff baseball, right? Do you remember our picks, Los? Do you remember your picks?
Yeah. Cincinnati versus Baltimore.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Oh, you're going to play it good.
Let's hear it. Let's see what we got. I'm going.
We're starting with the AL, right?
AL. I'm going to go playoff team. I'm going to go Baltimore. Let me do the division winners first. I'm going to take Baltimore. I'll take Minnesota, although Detroit could surprise. You know what? I'm just going to go Detroit. I'm going to take I'm going to go Baltimore, Detroit to be a little different, and then Seattle. Those three as the winners of the division. And I'm going to take wild cards. I'm going to take the Yankees. And come on, hurry up, Dan.
What the hell? Am I frozen?
Houston.
when you're having internet problems.
Probably.
I got Houston.
And
come on, Dan. Spit it out. Jeez.
Tampa.
I think Texas falls short this year.
Wow. Make me look horrible.
No, you know what? I'm going to take Texas over Tampa. I like this Langford kid and Carter. I like their pitching may catch up to them. I think that's going to be their downfall.
See if I can speed this up.
Don't trade, buddy. Watch how fast I give my teams.
And then my World Series.
I know I'm slow.
Coming from the American League.
Spit it out.
I want to go Baltimore.
You can go to 2 times in the bottom right corner. See that 1X?
Hold on. Surprise.
I can do Dan Coach Emilio,
Baltimore, or is it
the human run-on sentence?
I'm going to say Baltimore gets there because I think they're Houston. What Houston was 10 years ago, and they got there and get over the hump this year. So Houston or Baltimore, and in the National League, my playoff teams are the Dodgers and the Cubs and Atlanta as the division.
No wonder I'm frozen.
Wild cards are Philadelphia, San Diego, and I'm going to say a surprise team. It's going to be a team that comes out of St. Louis. I think they have a bounce back year. And the Giants. No, you know what? Let me take the Cubs out of there. Forget the Cubs. I'm putting Cincinnati in that thing.
Cincinnati.
Well, we're just going to talk games. We're not going to be doing the Phillies.
Okay, interesting. Phillies or
and I think the Giants, Arizona, Cubs, like it comes down to the last weekend, and the Orioles, and that's my teams. Okay, what next? Go ahead, Eric.
You want me to go? All right, American League. I'd say AL East is going to be Orioles. AL wild cards.
No Yankees.
Okay. I'm going to say Cubs. Wild. And the Phillies for the wild card. And, man, yeah.
You're 6 from each league. So the only difference was you had the Cleveland and I had Yankees.
Yeah.
So the only difference was we had
AL Central
yours
Tigers,
finished that
AL
fast,
West,
Los. Los, you're 6 from each league.
AL East Orioles, AL Central Tigers, AL West. I love the Mariners. I love their rotation.
Okay,
Wild card is Astros, Rangers, and the Cleveland Indians have a very
the Guardians.
Yeah.
So the only difference was you had the Cleveland and I had Yankees.
Yeah.
Um,
and I was a lot faster. NL East is the Braves, the Central is the Cubs, the West is the Dodgers. Wild card is the Phillies, the Reds, and the Padres. I have the Orioles coming out of the AL, and I have the Cincinnati Reds coming out.
What? The
No
Reds
pitching
to the World Series?
The Reds are going to hit the shit out of the ball, and they're going to make 2 trades at the deadline and get some fucking pitching.
Okay.
And that's going to get Hey, I come correct when I'm wrong, for sure. I didn't want to pick the favorites. I like to pick underdogs, and that really was an underdog.
That's all right.
Wow. Lou, you brought up the Charles or Greg Johnson interview. Another thing he said that we finally got some clarity on was he confirmed the Andrew Baggerly article saying that the talks had slowed down between Farhan and Chapman, and Buster Posey had to go in and go and talk with Chapman to speed it up. Susan Slusser, after Andrew Baggerly came out with that article, Susan Slusser came out and
that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, I was laughing. That was a good one.
Low spinning faster than his Wi-Fi, and that was on. Didn't even have him on 2 times speed like me, man. You think I was acting as Los's Wi-Fi?
Keep going. I didn't hear what Susan said, Bora.
Yeah, but what Susan Slusser said was I don't remember what she said, but she kind of just she went in the opposite direction. She didn't blame Farhan for that. So it's obvious that Susan Slusser was talking about, Susan Slusser had talked to Scott Boras and Farhan. Those were her sources, and Andrew Baggerly's sources was ownership. We don't need to talk about that.
Oh, that's Bora taking the Farhan Giants in 23 to win the division. Well, the Giants can actually win something now. I said they could never win anything with Farhan as their Pobo. Now that he's gone,
young, they'll be better next year.
Now that the Reds are not a bad pick actually. It's hey, it's a bold pick. But it
was a pick based on their hitting, based on
speed.
Well, Dela Cruz had the monster year I thought he was going to have, but they got a couple guys injured, and they did not trade for pitching at the deadline like I thought.
But they have a superstar they can build around.
Yes, they do. They do.
Young and exciting.
They were in it for a little while, but yeah, that was definitely a reach. And I didn't want to pick the Dodgers and the Yankees. It's just too easy. So.
No, I like going with the underdog.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch the games today? All of them?
All of them.
Amazing.
I thought the best game to me, just they were all low scoring. I mean, what was it? 1-0, 3-1,
3-1,
3-0, and then the Mets put some runs up though. I thought the 2 best games I thought were Milwaukee and the Mets and Detroit and Houston. San Diego game was good too. But it was just 2 home runs, right? It was Tatis and the catcher.
That place was rocking.
Oh,
rocking.
That is such an awesome play. You've been there, Los, right?
Yep.
To Petco.
Yep, multiple times.
Oh, it's such a fantastic stadium. You know what this does though? This move with the Giants today or yesterday, naming Buster in the press conference today, it starts to bring back that pride of putting on, this hat. Okay. I can wear this hat with a little more pride because I'm not saying they're going to win anything next year. I just think they're going to change the culture. I mean, it was awful.
Culture, yeah.
Did you listen to the radio today? Did you see social media? How many Giants fans were just ecstatic? I mean, I use the analogies. Actually, I got my text read on 95.7 this morning. I text Bonte and Joe, and Bonte read it on the air. He said, "Oh, he didn't say my name. He just said from the 925 NorCal Sports Network has been with you guys for Farhan getting lost for the better part of 2 years. Christmas came early in October, and they both loved it and they laughed." So,
yeah, I mean, hey, they know who we are. They know who we are. Look,
Dan, tell Bora and Los when we made the announcement, and I know Bora was on, that Farhan got fired, how big your show was.
Oh,
was it your biggest show ever? And it was during the day. It wasn't even announced. What was it, 2,800?
It was over 3,000.
3,000. That tells you something. Middle of the day, nobody knew about it. Kaboom.
Hey, and you know what? We were on it first.
Yeah.
We were on it first on YouTube. I mean, we didn't break it on the radio. I mean, of course, radio is going to get it first. But the announcement was broke on Twitter at 10:02 by Pavlovich.
10:15, we were on it, right?
We were on the air. And that's because the crack staff we have was ready to go. We
already had the thumbnail made.
The thumbnail was made. Ryan got the show set up quickly. Bora had the thumbnail made, and we fired it up. And, man, it couldn't have come at a better time for me because I had just got back home like 5-10 minutes earlier. And I think let me go back and look at my phone here and see who.
Kyle, I still have a 925 number, so yep, that would be
Bora and Los. While he's doing that, I do have one question.
Yeah,
because I listened to the Papa show today. After Buster got up, and the one thing I don't want, and this is just my personal opinion, is I don't want him reaching out to his guys that have no experience. They kept saying, "Oh, well, this is great." Who was our former shortstop again? Who
Crawford.
Still might be playing one more year?
Brandon Crawford.
Yeah, Crawford.
Mark Graves.
Get Crawford to help the infield, and we could call Mad Bum to work with the pitchers. Wait a minute, we already have somebody where it's his first week doing a new job. He's never done anything. I don't want coaches unless they have either worked somewhere else or have done the job. I mean, I don't want Crawford. He still might be playing. I need someone that is going to be there the full year. We talked about hitting coaches. They said, "Oh, well, maybe." I don't want, again, hey, we won 3 championships, which are great, but we got to get people that are great at what they do. I'm sick and tired of getting somebody, "Oh, well, he's from Millbrae, so let's hire him." Well, he's not good. I know, but he's from our area. Or this guy played for us 12 years ago and he was good.
You know what that was all about, Lou? That was all about Farhan. He was like, "Well, I can't get anybody to come here from, because I can't attract people because I can't sell anybody. And so I'll just get the rejected guy. I'll get the Hanigers and the Cannas and the
No, I was just talking about players.
That's what I'm talking about.
Players to be coaches. That's all I meant.
Okay. I'm talking also about the players. Farhan said they were going to try and build guys within the area. We think we need to bring more people that grew up in the area. Yeah, that's fine if you want to go get guys like Spencer Torkelson, that grew up in the area. There's a number 1 draft pick and who's still blossoming, still developing as a player. By the way, he caught the line drive to end the game today.
At first.
So, but you know what? I think what Buster does now is I think the Giants are putting Buster in there, and it's going to be about going after some big names.
Big fish.
I think they know they can't. They have no shot of him just being the guy. They had to get Farhan out of the room. Farhan had to get as far away from the room because whenever Farhan spoke, everybody cringed. Everybody made fun. I mean, you just watch MLB Network, like you said, Lou. I mean, Dan O'Dowd is what's the plan in San Francisco at the trade deadline? What are they doing? You know, former GMs just like losing it because, and they have, and look, and that's on the air. What do you think these guys are talking about
behind the
behind this, off camera? They're just telling you. I mean, they knew that
we were the
San
laughing
Francisco was a
stock.
mess. Look at Mad Dog Russo. I told you guys when that was done, I knew Farhan was gone because somebody inside the Giants
Leaked it.
wanted that question asked of Mad Dog, knowing Mad Dog would rip Farhan a new one on their flagship station that they partially own. Okay? They partially own NBC Sports.
They knew what they were doing.
And this whole year, look, you don't always get the whole truth when you hear press conference. You heard Bus. Everybody's going to talk respectfully. Hey, when did you know you were going to take this job? What do you think he's going to say? Well, it was part of the plan when I moved back. No, he's going to say, well, we didn't really know what was going to happen because we didn't know what was, we didn't know which way we were going. No, when he moved back from Georgia suddenly, like he just moves to Georgia and then comes back, and then it's like, okay, he's coming back with a purpose, and the purpose was, look, we're not going to bring him back in here and start and do it year one. It looks like a coup. It's kind of like the whole thing with Harris, to be honest. Okay, like Biden's out, Harris is in. That doesn't look good when you just bring somebody in. So a year and a half later, and they give Farhan the resources to make a winning team, and they see it's a disaster, and it's like, okay, I think Farhan's only chance was as if the Giants, won 94 games this year, 90, even had a year like San Diego, won 92 games, got in the playoffs, and maybe won a round and saw everybody was developing. That was his only chance.
George,
Go
George,
ahead.
I was going to say George Curry brings up a valid point, something that's bugged me for a while. Oh, no, not that one, but that's fine as well. He mentioned that this regime did not like former players and former coaches being at spring training, being in the clubhouse. Again, why? Like, the insecurity amazes me. For the longest time, the 49ers did the same thing during the Tom Insula, the Chip Kelly era. Like, great legends, Montana, Young, Rice, Lott, were not told not to come, but they weren't exactly getting invited. One of the first things John Lynch did when him and Shanahan came on was they accepted and, absorbed the 49ers history, absorbed the knowledge of these past great players that won championships. It's the culture of the team. Like, that to me just blows me away. Like, you're going to actually tell Willie Mays that he can't be in the clubhouse whenever he wants, or you're not going to tell Will Clark that he can't come. He's an ambassador for the team, so maybe he's allowed, but that is a very true fact. And again, it just shows the insecurity of Farhan, and for them to allow that guy to have this philosophy of, again, what I said earlier, taking down memorabilia from championships and not allowing past great players and coaches to be around, that should have been cut off. Again, 2021 gave him a longer leash than he should have, but it just blows me away that they allowed that for as long as they did, because that's horrible leadership.
I agree. Lou, to answer your question, I don't see that Posey talking about Crawford or Bumgarner. I don't see that as a really realistic option. What I do see it as it being sort of a really quick turnaround, because I think this Farhan regime for the past 6 years has really been worse than we all think it is. I really think behind closed doors, it was really bad. We've heard the articles about the coldness and bitterness and just the feeling around the team. I think it was really bad. And Posey and the organization just really wants to turn it around as quick as possible. And talking about Crawford, talking about Bumgardner, talking about Lincecum and Belt and all those guys that he talked about, to me, that makes me feel like it's only about the culture. Because when the culture when they were here was great. I mean, you had Brian Sabian and Bobby Evans. They won 3 world championships. You had Bochy leading the team. The culture was just great. It was great. It was rocking, exactly.
And I think what I really loved about those times is once either the Niners were eliminated or say the Super Bowl was done, all over the Bay Area, you always saw the Giants gear, Giants hats, Giants visors, Giants pullovers.
Giants
you saw
season
more than the Niners, and that's something you don't see anymore. But I agree there, boy. That's a great point.
There were so many Giants fans all over that just distinctly said, guys like you, Lou, that for years had season tickets, and they said, we didn't go to one game this year. There was one caller that says, I've been a Giants fan for over 40 years. I didn't watch any Giants games. I mean, he didn't even watch Giants games. So this was huge. There was a lot of hardcore, true Giants baseball fans that were so turned off that they didn't even bother to support the team, not even watching them on TV or watching them to a very limited degree. So this felt, and this was another analogy I used today, besides Christmas coming early, it feels like we're out of prison. It felt like we were in jail with this guy.
The shackles have come off.
Like we were like just in the cage, like, get me effing out of here. And them letting him go, and hiring Posey had obviously a lot to do with it, but they could have hired somebody else and announced it. Just the fact that they let go of him was the key to unlock that cage and let us all true Giants fans get out. It felt really, really damn good.
Dan, you're muted.
Sorry. One thing that this actually does is it's kind of interesting because ownership has been able to now put the entire focus on Buster Posey, and they have there's no focus on ownership going to be for the next couple years at least. It's all 100% on Buster, and he is now, he is the face of the franchise. He is, when you think San Francisco Giants, it's about Buster Posey, and the owners are in the background now.
Especially with Willie passing. He's the face.
So,
and that's the way it should be.
And I think Buster's up for it. I do. I think he's a guy that I think he's got what a lot of great players that are quiet. He's got that assassin in him, like Steph Curry.
He's got the it factor. Yeah,
he's got that. Don't mistake the politeness, the humility for a guy who can't be, like this guy wants to win. What do we got a comment in here or something? What do we
I feel like we got rid of an STD.
Oh, who put that?
Ben.
Put that? Oh gosh.
Hey Dan, just before I forget,
we got rid of the clap, huh? Okay.
I just want to welcome Robert Boyd being a new member.
I was just doing
Sorry about that. Robert, welcome.
And then
good to have you here.
He used to be a member. What happened to him?
I don't know. I thought he was.
Robert used to be on all the time. Welcome back, Robert.
I've seen him recently.
Oh, wrong one. Sorry, I meant this one.
Maybe he didn't want to become a member until Farhan was fired.
That's for Robert Boyd there.
He upgraded to pro.
He upgraded to pro? Wait, blue. Is that one? Oh, he upgraded to pro. Whoa, you got to give a real shout out. One more. There we go. For our members, we always give a shout out.
Did you see the name that Cliff Martinez threw up there?
I like this because he's from Atlanta, Buster.
He is.
Maybe someone we're not thinking of.
Who did he throw out? Let me see it.
It's on the screen.
Oh, I'm looking for it in there.
I like anybody that has a track record for more than 1 year of drafting well and recognizing talent. You're not going to hit on every round. Jesus, there's so many rounds in baseball. But you got to hit in those first 3 rounds. You can't keep drafting reaches and busts. So if this guy is real good, the guy from Tampa I like, Carlos Rodriguez, I believe, and the Boston Red Sox guy.
I don't know what it is with what the Giants are. I mean, they're doing all this A's stuff, it seems like lately. They're talking about Billy Owens. They had Melvin, Canna.
That's why I'm not a fan of
the past. Yeah, they were good 12 years ago. Oh, maybe we can catch another in the bottle.
Maybe this Billy Owens, maybe he's really, really good. I don't know much about him. I'll get Marty on and we'll talk. He knows more about him.
I can't hear that name and not think of the Warrior, ex-Warrior.
Ex-Warrior Billy Owens from Syracuse, right?
Syracuse, yeah.
What I will say about
Richmond.
What I will say about Billy Owens is the A's have a pretty nice future. I mean, if you look at their team right now, they have a young team and their farm
I like
system
watching the A's.
Not half bad.
Hey, look, the A's, if you think about it, the A's from 88, 89, 90 went to 3 World Series in a row. Only won the one over the Giants, but
they lost to the Reds when the Reds had the 3 nasty boys, and of course Kirk Gibson's home run.
Yeah. But they were exciting, and then even during the years that we almost had a 2012 kind of another Giants A's World Series. Didn't the A's come out of nowhere that year? They had all these rookie pitchers, and Melvin was managing, and they won the division, and then I think they won a playoff round. What about what's going on, Cliff, with Celebrini? Nothing serious, hopefully. Lower body injury. Probably get his dad to work on him. He's the Warriors trainer. Gee whiz. Hopefully it's not anything major. George Curry says the question for me is Frost or Billy Owens responsible for their drafts and young talent?
I'll tell you what.
The A's do have good talent, man.
I brought this up a few months ago on the show and it's kind of blasphemy on the Giants channel, but the quote I said is, if the A's had a new stadium and if the A's had the Giants' money, they quite frankly, for a lot less money, had better scouts and better observation of talent than the Giants, more or less, hands down. If you put the Giants' money into all their resources, boy, the A's might have been doing a lot of stuff, because they have been finding players out of the woodworks for a long time, consistently, very consistently. They just can't sign them and they can't keep them.
I mean, it's a great point. If the A's got a new stadium, that Howard Terminal, that would threaten the Giants a little bit. It would, because I mean the A's have a good young team, and especially if Farhan was still here.
You like that second baseman they got, Geloff?
He was a disaster for me in fantasy. I dropped him after the first 2 months. He was hitting like
he had a rough year. He can steal bases, but they got that Leroy Butler kid,
best closer in baseball,
Mason Miller. Man, that guy's lights out. He was on my fantasy team, led us to the title.
And they have 29-year-old Brent Rooker, right, Bora?
Mm-hmm. 29, not 25.
Oh, not 30. I thought somebody said he was 33 or something last night.
No, he's 29.
29?
No.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They also have JJ Bleday, who's pretty good.
I
mean, they have a good team.
He would have been our best player.
Did you see that catch he made in center field on the last game?
I think so,
Oakland?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Just like airborne, left his feet. extended his glove as far as he could go. It looked like Superman flying in the air, and he snagged it. Man, that was nice.
Have you guys heard the A's woman announcer though?
Oh yeah,
It's
Yeah.
horrible.
It's amazing to me how so many Giants fans, executives were threatened by the A's. A's never bothered me. Like I don't mind them being in the Bay Area. I like the rivalry. I like the East Bay.
Did you like the trolling that the guy used to do? Fly over plane, and when they were playing at Oracle,
I love the rivalry. I love the Raiders here and the Niners rivalry. I mean, the San Francisco
Oh yeah,
Bay,
you know what?
the Bay Area is huge. Like, I mean, you cannot tell me that you cannot support two teams when they're both winning. They both drew, and it was exciting for the whole Bay Area. I had no problems with the A's. I'm kind of sad that they're leaving, to be honest, but whatever. Just two teams in the Bay Area and two opportunities to go to games is not a bad thing. But I guess the Giants felt threatened by them. So
When do you guys think Posey hires the new GM?
In a week and
soon.
2 weeks. I think a week or two. Today's what? October 1st?
Yeah, because
I think-
free agency starts when, Dan?
3-4 days after
the World
World
Series.
Series.
Oh yeah, they need to go on that.
I think maybe we're overlooking something.
What's that?
What's up?
I think when the playoffs are going, he's after somebody that right now still has a job.
Yeah.
And we talked about this before. We don't know if you can actually pull somebody while they're still in the playoffs. And,
Maybe
you know,
that Atlanta.
I mean, maybe that
GM.
guy from Atlanta is who Buster has been talking to since he's from there. You know, we don't know.
He can
We
probably
gotta
call
look
him.
till
Tomorrow night after the Padres take him out, because I think they got Dylan Cease going against. It is Max Fried, so
Yeah.
that's their probably best chance of winning tomorrow night.
Dan, if we're in Scottsdale watching Bryce Eldridge play and we happen to see Buster Posey, are we approaching him?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to be going to a game or two with Marty too. I talked to him tonight. We'll go with Marty, and
Nice.
we'll just ride Marty's coattails over there.
Just remember the $20 opening day for Bora.
What?
The bet you and Dan.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm
I'm
your
not forgetting
witness.
that. I'm not forgetting.
What was that bet? What was I don't
Bryce
remember.
Eldridge. It was Bryce Eldridge.
We'll be
Oh,
on the
starting-
Giants opening day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, I don't think he is.
I don't know.
Thank you, Los. Thank you.
I don't
Yes.
know. He'll be a splash. You know, the Giants need a splash player. If he
Hey,
does,
you know what?
You know what, Dan? I'm telling you, if Farhan was still here, you might win. But he's gone. So if Eldridge smashes in spring training, this regime may see like, hey, go get him, kid.
Yeah, hey, I'm all for it. I don't mind losing $20 if he's really good. You know, I just think that maybe it might. I don't know. I think they're just going to want to develop him a few more months, and the one thing is that you start opening day. If you're on the roster, and you're rookie of the year, you get it's almost like a second first round pick. You get the compensatory pick at the end of the first round. So that would be pretty cool. I just wonder if they want to wait until later in the season. It all depends on how I think one, he does, and two, how the offseason goes. If there's excitement like around Soto, if they got Soto, for example, and some other guys, I think that's the splash. And then, but if they strike out and they have nothing to get excited about, then maybe they make that, hey, we gotta sell something.
Dan, I kind of see it the opposite way. Because if they make a splash signing and they sign a Soto or they sign an Adames or something, a middle of the order bat, it takes pressure off Eldridge, and it gives him some room to work around. I mean, I would like to see it. To me, if Eldridge is this generational prospect that we're all throwing around, I mean, the Giants are super high on him. He just won Player of the Year at DH in the minor leagues all of minor leagues. He was the player of the year at the DH position. To me, he's really good. He's like a generational talent. If he's really like that, then I don't know if his development is really that delicate. To me, if he's that guy, and if he's a potential superstar, then he should be able to cross any barriers that passes his way. He should be able to work through some struggles in the major leagues, and he should be able to get up here and contribute.
Like, when did they bring Buster up? Wasn't it like June or July?
No, they didn't they bring him up like September or August in 2009?
Was that his first year? Okay.
I think so,
bought him. Okay.
Yeah, one thing I've heard a lot in the last 48 hours is the Giants need to get back to the international market. They've kind of gotten away from it. We talked a lot about the players coming out of Japan. Don't they got a couple monsters coming out this year? One is a pitcher and another one is a hitter. I don't know their names off the top of my head, but
one of the hitters, and it's like Masatoki Morinami or something like that. I've looked into him a little bit. He's one of the guys that, to me, I if it was my preference, I would rather have a Soto. If you could get a Soto, if it was one or the other, I would rather have a Soto, just because he strikes out a lot. I mean, he strikes out over one time a game. It's kind of insane the rate he strikes out at. He does hit a lot of home runs.
You're talking about the Japanese player?
Yeah, the hitter.
That's unusual because they generally don't strike out a lot. They're usually put it in play, even their power hitting guys.
They do, yeah.
Let's take a look at something, guys. Here, this just came out yesterday. The 24 all minor league prospect team, and this is kind of interesting.
Yeah,
and I want to make a.
We'll see a few of them. We'll see a few of them in the next few weeks.
Yeah, Del Castillo. That's the catcher that was up this year for
Jesus.
He was up with the big club with the Diamondbacks. There he is, right there playing with the Diamondbacks.
Opposite field power, center field.
First baseman, this kid, I had him in my NA slot on fantasy, but the Marlins never brought him up. He was traded by the D-backs, but this kid's a monster, but he's got a lot of strikeout. He's the number 4 prospect of the Marlins. Second base, Kristen Campbell. Third base, Kobe Mayo. Look at that, MLB number 8. That's the guy I wanted for. I think you could have maybe got him if you would have packaged Snell and maybe another player.
Doval, maybe.
Or, somebody that's going to, sign for
next year. A whole month? Wow.
Kobe Mayo would have been great.
He's a third baseman, and the Giants wanted to go after up Chapman.
Shea Whitcomb, he's the number 14 prospect. And then outfield, Ramon Anthony, number 12 prospect in all of baseball.
He is nice. I hope he's in Arizona next week.
Yeah.
The Red Sox have a lot.
I want to see him play.
Yeah. Number 45 prospect in all of baseball, Lazaro Montes. That's the Mariner. Oh, here's another Red Sox, number Garcia. Okay, here's your DH guys, Bryce Eldridge. What I want to point out is we're high on him because he's the only thing the Giants have.
Yeah.
But the rest of baseball only puts him at 50. Think about this. We're talking about him being a phenom, right? If he's a phenom, and because you don't have to be playing in Major League Baseball, the kid for the Padres, the catcher, Stalis, is like 1 or 2, and he's not even he's just starting his minor league career. So he's an international signing. So to be only at 50, to me, is not a red flag in any way, but are we thinking that this guy, I mean, if he's a phenom and the rest of baseball sees it, he should be in the top 20 right now.
I don't know. I mean, he was at number 50. I think that's mid-season, and then he kind of broke onto the scene and broke out. So I think
he was originally about 80 something. He started the year in the 80s or 90, didn't he?
So Dan, do you think maybe he's a year away? Or are you just thinking maybe we're overhyping him? Because I saw someone in the chat says we hear this all the time with Giants prospects.
Yeah, I mean, here's the catch second team. Number one prospect for the Dodgers, ranked 36. I'm just looking here to see if I see any other prospects higher.
Who's that one for the Athletics? There he is. Coleman. No, go up.
Oh yeah, he's
right
their
there.
number 7 prospect, Colby Thomas. I'm just looking at some of these names, see if I recognize any of them. But it's, this is Jim Callis. It came out. I think when the new rankings come out, if
how old is this article?
Yesterday it came out.
Scroll back up a little bit.
How far?
I think I saw someone in the first team. Quinn Matthews, I'm pretty sure.
Quinn Matthews, first team. Yo-ho.
I like the name.
Yo-ho.
He signed for $10,000 as an 8th round pick. Wow, what a bargain!
Wow, you're looking for who? Quinn Matthews.
Quinn Matthews, there he is. Quinn Matthews is pretty underrated. I liked him a lot. I watched him at Stanford. If you watch the College World Series when I think it was 2 years ago, I forget who they were playing, but he threw the complete game where he threw like 140 pitches, and there was a lot of controversy online about how his arm is blown out and everything. I like him a lot. He doesn't throw hard. He's a little bit of a finesse pitcher. He's tall and big, but the Cardinals he's going to be good, I think.
Hey, I'm in, man. I told you guys, come through. It's a lot less crowded than spring training.
Oh yeah, for the fall league, come on down, guys.
Yep, starts October 7th.
I got an extra room. I'll house somebody.
Maybe I should take the drive.
Catch a plane.
5.5 hours.
Southern California, nothing. Yeah, 5 hours.
Yeah, come through, man. It'd be fun.
What was I going to do?
It's still a little hot here, though.
Okay,
so
here's the September 30th.
Hot.
This just came out yesterday, so we'll see. Maybe Eldridge gets pushed up into that top 25 range if they come out with a preseason one. I would like to see it. I would like to see him up that high. Marco Luciano. Think about this, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
He was ranked as high as 9 on some of the baseball prospects. Baseball America, I think, had him 9th at one point.
He was in the top 10 for MLB.
Yeah, okay, he was top 10. Look at that. So I think Eldridge looks a little different because his bat is playing, but you know what? Let's see. I hope he makes it. Giants need a guy that can hit 35, 40 plus homers.
Someone we can fall in love with, grow with.
Yeah, drive in 100 runs. He looks like he might be that guy.
A prospect's always a prospect until he's not. I mean, these guys, most prospects don't pan out. To talk about Marco Luciano, I think though the reason he was ranked so high was because he was a shortstop. If he was an outfielder, he there's no chance he would have been ranked that high because they rank shortstops. They value shortstops.
Who gets ranked the highest? Shortstops and catchers, or catchers seem to get ranked a lot.
I think shortstops and catchers.
Yeah, catchers.
By all accounts, the Giants had a pretty good draft last year. So let's see what comes of it. They have a shortstop that
Walker Martin. He struggled. He struggled in with the contact.
Who was their first round pick? The outfielder.
Eldridge. Eldridge was first, and then Walker was second.
Was it?
You're talking about this year.
This year.
Tim.
Oh yeah, they got the kid from Mississippi, power guy. What's his name? Drawing a blank. We
need our expert that knows the minor leagues.
Cody.
Yeah.
Dakota Jordan.
Yeah, Dakota Jordan. and then their first round
Yeah,
pick.
Dakota
I'm
Jordan.
not high on their first round pick, Tibbs.
Yeah.
To me, he just looks like he looks like not a slower, but I don't know if he's going to be Michael Conforto or not. Conforto was really good when he was, with the Mets. He was a star. But Tibbs, I don't even think he's along that lines yet.
To me, Tibbs doesn't have that standout trait. He's just kind of like Bryce Eldridge has that standout trait. He's super tall and he has a bunch of power. Dakota Jordan has that standout trait. He's super fast and he has amazing pop. James Tibbs doesn't have.
It's like he's like good at a lot of things, but he's not great at anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hunter Bishop is still floating out there. Remember when he was hot for a little while, and then I guess he slowed down.
Well, that's the one thing I wanted to see him in September, Los. They have to make a decision this year at the winter meetings to either protect him or leave him exposed to the Rule 5 draft. Now, he's older, but he's ready to play. He's a guy that's 26 now. So if somebody drafts him and he makes it at the big league, look, once you get to AA, AAA, you're really looking at if you can hit there, you're going to be able to make it in the big leagues or not. I mean, you're it's not like, oh wait, he needs more seasoning. If you're a guy that hits in the AA and AAA and show promise, you can play in the big leagues. Why didn't they give him a shot this year? Put him on the 40-man roster. You can always release him after the season, right? But now you've either got to put him on the 40 and you don't know if he can play, or you got to expose him to the Rule 5 draft. Why did they not release guys like Donovan Walton? I mean, why is Donovan Walton
or
40-man roster when you have your number one draft pick, your first pick, Hunter Bishop? You could have just brought him up in September. You went from 26 to 28. You were a lousy team. You were playing for nothing. Why was Hunter Bishop not getting an opportunity to get 100-plus at-bats and see what he can do in the big leagues? Why was Luis Matos not given a chance? Why was Marco Luciano not given a chance? Why was Casey Schmidt not given a chance to play every day? Why were guys that are
ready to play not playing?
Well, we won't see that anymore with Buster and Sharp. That was a Farhan.
Right. But the mistakes were so brutal, Los. You could have put Conforto. You could put Conforto on waivers before the end of August, so he could have got picked up by a playoff team, and then you would have moved him off the roster. You could have done the same thing with Yaz, or traded these guys at the trade deadline.
It was only Rogers I heard went on waivers, and nobody, of course, claimed him.
Thank God he's gone.
You can't.
He's not.
You could have got something.
I meant Farhan.
You could have got something for Yaz at the trade deadline. I don't know what you could have got, but you could have got something. Okay. Why do you keep guys that are not? They're just not part of your future. Now, Yaz can be a fourth outfielder. He's not a horrible player. He's got promise. He can, but he's
a valuable asset to a good team. He's a valuable asset to a good team. Yes, team. Exactly.
Yeah, to a playoff team, man. You can imagine him being Jesse Winkler, right? Today.
I swear the lack of hitters coming into the majors that are being drafted. I mean, back in the day, it used to be 1 out of maybe 8 to 9 guys might be a superstar. Now, God, it's like 1 out of 30. I mean, there's just so many guys coming out of college, coming out of high school, that they just are not major league hitters. And, this is something we don't talk about on this show very much, but in the 60s and 70s, the black ball player was much more prevalent than now. Black ball players were so coming in the 50s and 60s. We know all the names that were dominant that became superstar players. And blacks just don't play baseball as much as they
No.
used to. They're into, because baseball's it's a long road,
Football and
it's
hoops.
rookie league. Yeah, it's football and basketball, but that's a damn shame because God, in all the time I played ball, I played with some great ball players, some black ball players. So I think that's kind of hurt the game of baseball. We haven't talked about the game of baseball too much on the show lately, but I think that's definitely something that's missing, and it's missing from a lot of good hitters out there. Because boy, it's rough sledding to find great hitters.
It is. It really is. Ben Bamboo says, infuriating. We did nothing with so many players that could have gotten something for that.
Yeah.
Could have got, and now going to walk for nothing. Yeah, it's just unbelievable.
That's 3 years in a row.
3 years in a row.
Great deadline nightmare.
I think Buster had it.
Yeah.
I really do. I think he was like, think about it. He had his chance, his voice directly to the owners. He's one of them. He's on the board. I'm sure it was like, this has got to go. We can't do this. We can't let this go. And I think even if they had an 83-79 record and missed the playoffs, 84-78 and missed the playoffs, I think he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think Farhan's only shot was getting into the playoffs and advancing.
But I'll say this, and this is not to defend Farhan, and we've talked about this before. The Giants in general, their philosophy is that we can never rebuild, and they are not sellers at the trade deadline, no matter what, for whatever reason. Larry Baer has said that very clearly. The great Marty Lurie has said that very clearly. I have heard him say that. The Giants do not sell at the deadline. So I don't know. Let's see next year if they're in that position. They're struggling. It's the deadline. They got some good players. Let's see if a different regime pulls the trigger and gets prospects in here, or if it's the same status quo. Because when was the last time the Giants did sell at the trade deadline and get somebody good in return? I'm thinking hard about it. Luke, can you think of anybody?
Hey guys, I'm going to step away. I'm going to step away real quick for about 10, 15 minutes. I'll be right back. 15 minutes.
Can anybody in the chat think?
I forgot what year it was when we traded the two relievers. The lefty we traded to Atlanta at
Will
the trade
Smith?
deadline.
No.
Who was with Atlanta, I think, until last year. And then we traded the other one to Pittsburgh. Remember when we blew it against the Cubs in 2016? And we were so desperate.
Speaking of that, real quick, there was a graphic that was, it might have been on the Tigers game, but teams were like 1 and 400 something.
Oh, the Cubs Giants playoffs.
Exactly. When leading by three or more runs in the ninth
leading by
inning.
3 runs going to the ninth.
And that one game was the Cubs playoff game.
Yeah.
No, but when I say trade deadline, I say sellers. So I see some things in the chat about, Marco Scutaro. That's the Giants being buyers. They got veterans to improve their team.
That's him.
I'm talking about when was the last time the Giants traded a pretty good veteran?
Yeah, Will Smith.
At the deadline.
Thank you, Mark.
And got a young player back in return, a prospect.
I mean, you could argue Jorge Soler for that guy, but they weren't selling. This team hasn't sold in a long time.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So hey, we all know how we feel about Farhan, but this is a Giants issue. This is not a Farhan issue. The Giants don't believe in selling, no matter where they are in the standings. Now they should never sell when they're in contention, but they haven't been in contention for 6 of the last 7 years, and even before that. Before their World Series run, they had some down years and they just never sold. It's just not in their philosophy. Remember what Larry Baer said? We can't rebuild. The fan base won't accept
sick of Larry Baer.
You know what, Lou? I think that they should move off of him. He's the one that loved Farhan.
I told Dan, and I think I mentioned to Bora, do you remember opening day was probably about 8 or 9 years ago? When his wife caught his phone and he hit her, and then he had to sit out the first 6 months. the Giants haven't been good. He's a disaster. You know, I think Bora might have brought it up on one of the calls when he's on KBR. He talked more about the real estate instead of the team. He never mentions the season ticket holders. When I've run into him, you know, it's been sort of a problem. You know, the Giants they're sort of missing the boat, you know, especially with the competition. You have the Warriors right down the street. You have us, you know. I mean, there was more talk about the Oakland Ballers with the A's leaving and then the two women's soccer teams and the Giants. It's, you know, I think they need a whole entire thing. I'm glad Buster's there, but, you know, I was so sick and tired of our announcers always, every game. Never it was the Giants pitchers, but they always complained about the strike zone. It got to a point where I almost had to push mute.
I did. I put mute whenever it was a road game and it was Dave Fleming and Hunter Pence because I just didn't want to hear
Fleming was out of control.
He was out of control.
I literally, when I would be watching TV and when Flem was there, I would listen to the radio and back and forth. It got to a point where, and what I didn't like is if the Giants got a good call, you know, it was fine. I mean, they were such homers. It was like, God, guys, it's not like we're a World Series team. It's hard enough to watch these guys. Now the announcers are making it worse. So.
Yeah. They're probably not going to move off of any of the announcers, but Larry Baer is a guy that he's been with the organization a long time.
Too long.
And I just think it's time to move off of him. Just bring in, you know, some
fresh meat,
some new blood for sure.
Greg Johnson would never do that, though. That's like Larry Baer should be gone. I mean, he should have been gone the minute that video was sent, showing that
he got 6 months. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's just, I mean, yeah, he should be gone, but he's never going to be gone. Because you know what, he's the CEO of the company, and he likes to bring in the money. That's all about making the money. But Los, I mean, I completely agree with your point about they've never rebuilt. And when Dan and I interviewed Bobby Evans, I asked him, was there any talk of a rebuild? And he said there were serious conversations about a rebuild. And I forget who said it the other day, but when we were talking about Farhan and when they were hiring Farhan, the whole thing with Farhan was he was opposed to the rebuild. He's like, we don't have to rebuild. We can still contend by playing with these marginal players, playing with the Yaz's, playing with the Wades, playing with the Tyro Estradas, playing with all these guys, and we don't have to spend too much money, and we can still contend without having to tear it all down. And that's what sold ownership.
Yeah.
They were like, you know what, we can still make money, and we're not going to be bad. But the problem is, if you don't have a good team, you're going to be bad. And I mean, I think if they had gone in a different direction after they let Bobby Evans go in 2019, I think there was a realistic possibility of them tearing it down and rebuilding. I mean, they're in a big market. They're in a huge market. They're in a top 5 market, and it's probably going to be
by themselves now.
Now it's probably going to be a top 3 market now that they have the whole Bay Area. So they should. The realistic thing is they should never be selling, because they should always be good, because they should have a lot of money. They should be growing players. They should be getting prospects. They should be doing all this to always be in contention. But when you're not in contention, you have to be realistic with yourself and honest with yourself. It's like, would you rather take a 2 to 3 year rebuild and really build a monster like the Orioles have? Or do you want to play by the margins and dumpster dive for all these mid players and just contend for the wild card, not contend for the World Series? And to me, that's over. I think that the Giants have learned a lot in this Farhan tenure. Just listening to the Greg Johnson interview, I mean, he is completely. I think personally, I think he's completely done with Farhan. He is opposed to that style of baseball and that style of building a team. You mentioned the 1 year deals. I mean, it's just, I think this organization has learned. And thank God it only took 6 years.
Yeah, let's
but
hope so.
This organization has finally learned to be how to run, how to be ran and how to run an organization properly. And it's a major market. You should be competing for the World Series every year. You should be with the Dodgers, with the Yankees, with the Padres, with all these major markets.
Like the Warriors.
All valid points, but I will say that I hope the Giants also learn that baseball's probably the one sport that just because if you spend a lot of money doesn't mean you're going to win. It's been proven over and over and over again. The Giants were what, 5th in payroll this year? Just because you spend money doesn't mean the Mets, how much did they drop on Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander? My God, they paid those guys $40 million each, and they were in their 40s already. So just dropping big checks is not necessarily going to win you. You have to spend wisely. You have to have a balance of cheap talent. You have to have some young guys that are on rookie contracts. They're going to balance out your superstars, and then you have your middle of the road players. The Giants continuously, and Dan mentions this all the time, they stay in that middle lane. They're always around 500. If they rebuild and just tear it down, and let's say they lose like the White Sox do, well, if you lose 95, 100 games, yeah, that's going to suck. But you're going to get a top 5 draft pick. I mean, you could get a superstar with a top 5 draft pick if you can hit it. If you can get a Julio Rodriguez, if you can get a Bryce Harper, I know you can miss as well, but like you have a chance to not just get an okay player, but you can get a chance to get a great player. So I think they've missed the boat on that. And you're right. I hope they've learned their lesson over the last 6 years about what not to do in so many circumstances.
Yeah. Bora, one of the things that Bobby Evans said is after we won the 3rd World Series during spring training the next year, they asked, hey, has Buster ever gone up to you and asked you? And when the trades, he goes, oh, yeah, we always spoke. But he said for the first time ever, after 3 championships in 5 years, he goes, hey, I'd like to, instead of always being the underdog, I would like to be the top tier team. And that year is when they signed Samardzija and
Cueto,
who's the pitcher from Pittsburgh, who we had for. Remember, we signed both pitchers for 4 years.
Was it Melanson?
No, not Melanson. The starter who did the
Cueto.
Weird thing.
Cueto. Johnny Cueto.
Yeah, Cueto.
Yeah.
So we had Cueto, and we signed the Notre Dame wide receiver, but we went for it. And he goes, "That's what he expects Buster to be like." He wants to. He's sick and tired of being. He didn't like the one thing he said that Buster would never ever go for is let's just be average. And he goes, "Wait a minute, we're the San Francisco Giants. We're not an average team.
Exactly.
Because we should always be trying to win the division." And whoever came across saying we'd be happy for the 3rd wild card should have been fired instantly.
That's what we were on all year long. Yeah. There was just so many fans that were so juiced about squeezing into them. They just the bar was so lowered, the expectations were so lowered, and a lot of fans got caught up into that. And the true fans like us that know how great this organization is, it's an iconic organization. We're not going to settle for the 3rd wild card. No. You should be competing with the Dodgers. My God, how many times are you going to see them win the division? How many times are you going to see them take over Oracle? Like, I've never seen as many Dodger fans that are there.
They had the whole entire bleachers.
That was embarrassing.
I mean, it's sickening. It used to be that the Giants fans would take over Dodger Stadium at least 50-50.
And San Diego was,
San Diego, yeah, big time. I went down so many times, and it was 75-25. But, only the casuals are out there. The true baseball fans don't want to go. They're not going to go there and get ridiculed by Dodger fans when the Dodgers are smashing the Giants again, 11-2, 12-4. They don't want to pay their good money to deal with that. So hopefully this is a start of balancing it out again.
Right now, the Dodgers-Padres is a bigger rivalry than the Giants-Dodgers, even the Padres-Giants, because those are 2 good teams, and those are 2 great fan bases that show up for their teams. I mean, the environment and the atmosphere in either Dodger Stadium or Petco Park when those 2 teams are playing is electric. Whenever those 2 teams are playing, The game's on MLB Network because it's the showcase game.
Every game.
Every game, and that's the Padres are an example of if you build a good team and if you build a team that wins, your fans care. I mean, you can just the casual
every game was sold out this year after the third game of the season.
Exactly.
For the rest of the year.
Exactly. The casual Giants fans who were happy with Farhan and his tenure and wanted him back for another year. I saw those people on Twitter. They're about to be awakened, and they're about to be seen what true winning baseball looks like, in my opinion. Farhan baseball is not winning baseball. That's for Oakland. That's for Tampa Bay. Those are for small market teams, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just those teams can't afford the money. They can't afford to have the $300 million payroll. That's not the Giants. That's not who the Giants are. The Giants are a team who need to be spending $300 million and need to be in the playoffs every year.
Easily, yeah.
It's a legend. It's a legendary rivalry that has been nothing close to that lately. So hopefully this will be the beginning of that coming back. Because
hey, Bora, where are you located?
Orange County, Costa Mesa.
Okay, you're not up north because it's been today. Except for San Francisco, the surrounding area we're all over 100, and nobody has AC in the Bay Area.
Yeah,
You know, it's been brutal out here. It's so hot.
my AC works.
Yeah, but,
I bet.
you're in the zone, it should.
You can't live without AC.
I hope the
out
chat's
here, man.
okay. I hope you guys are in the same boat as me. It's just ridiculous. I'm not used to it.
Dan was talking about Hunter Bishop a little while before he left. I kind of like Hunter Bishop. He's 6'5". He has the tools. He has speed. He has power. I kind of want to see the Giants protect him in their 40-man roster, not give him out to the Rule 5 draft, just because that's one of the picks where I'm going to give Farhan a pass. He was a highly touted prospect and recruit, and he's just been decimated by injuries. His career has been decimated by injuries. And I was actually okay with them leaving him in AAA this year. I didn't need to see him up. Just he got a full year in. For the first time in a long time, he played a full healthy year. And that should be something that's encouraging for you guys, for Giants fans. If the stats aren't great, but he played a full year. And I would like to see what he can do when he's healthy because he has all the tools.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
well, he's an ASU boy. What do you expect? He didn't go to a real university like U of A, so that's all I'll say. They're down.
Oh, you're more of a Wildcat than a.
No, I went to U of A. Yeah.
Oh,
so I know all the big sports stars for U of A, and then of course ASU. So
Hey, Barry Bonds went to ASU.
I know, and then Bishop went to Sarah too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As well as great.
I went head to head against Sarah,
so-
Sarah for 4 years in high school. I'm a Sacred Heart guy, so
Yeah.
I know. I played against Greg Jeffries. He was a cocky SOB, let me tell you.
But I don't even know if what's amazing is I don't know if you remember his teammate at Sarah got a full ride to Stanford, a guy named Scott DeLucchi.
DeLucchi, third baseman.
Great player, third base, and then he blew out his knee. So I used to run into him. PAL, they were the Millbrae All-Stars.
DeLucchi was a cool guy. I stole third, and I just kind of mentioned to him, I go, hey, Jeffries is an asshole, isn't he? He goes, yeah, he kind of is. So his own teammate didn't like him. We rode in on our team bus into Sarah, and we look in the parking lot. And Jeffries, this is a 17-year-old high school guy.
Yeah.
He's got a 66 Mustang, and his license plate said 444. And we're like, oh my God. But we had a guy on our staff that gave Jeffries fits. His name was Jim Keppen. He's a lefty, threw a nasty 12-6 curveball. Jeffries couldn't hit him, and he would strike out, and he'd slam the bat down. Like, he's a great fastball hitter, but man, he had trouble with that curveball.
Curve.
Yeah, but he was so cocky that he had to slam his bat, throw a little temper tantrum. We'd give him so much crap. Those were good rivalries because we were city guys. Reardon, Sacred Heart, and St. Ignatius.
What year did you get out of Sacred Heart?
Class of '85.
So Mike Callahan.
Ray Ortiz, Ray LaPuz. Yeah, some good stories, man.
Good guys.
When San Francisco baseball and the WCL was.
Well, I dated a girl at Cathedral.
Oh, did you? Oh,
right up the block from you guys. So
yeah, every time I go on with Kruger, he's got to talk about
Yeah.
SI. Yeah, he's an
good
SI.
times, good times.
Yeah, great times in the city.
Yeah.
for
I'm
sure.
gonna play a clip of the interview with Alex Pavlovich and Greg Johnson.
Yeah, I liked it.
It was a really good interview. If you guys haven't checked it
Probably
out,
his best interview. I'd love to hear it again.
It was, and this is a great question. This is only a minute long clip, but this is a great question. This is a hard hitting question from him.
How long is it?
This clip is a minute long, but the whole interview I think is 8 minutes.
Oh, thank you. No, reading a 15-minute article.
No.
Or I felt bad for you that day, man. That article.
Oh man, I had to drink a lot of water.
Man.
I
Like,
was
Jesus,
when is this
man.
gonna end?
And Bora was like, I got no homework tonight. What the F, man? You're making me read all this.
All right, here it is.
Greg Johnson, a big day for you guys. But first, I want to take you back to the last few years and the decision you had to make. I know you did talk about the respect you have for Farhan Fired, but ultimately, what was kind of the biggest factor for you? Was it the lack of winning, or some of the player development issues?
Probably a combination. I mean, I think at 6 years, you hope you're in a better position and not still looking at a 500 team. And I think we kind of made an all-in bet with some one-year deals to try to get us at least to that into the playoffs, and that didn't happen. Now the other I think decision point was Buster moving forward, and before we'd made any decision, saying, "Hey, I want to do this." So I think that probably increased the probability of us obviously making a change. Then that we had that. If we had to open it up for a search, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
All right.
Yeah, just knock the microphone down.
Yeah, Bora, that got me fired up a little bit.
It did. I mean, I watched all the interviews today. I set my alarm for 10.
Finally, he starts doing good interviews once Farhan gets out of here, right?
Yeah.
I was at the beginning of the press conference. I was like, "What is going on?" Because the audio was all messed up. I'm like, "Are we going to hear this?"
There was echoes and everything was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Typical Giants getting cheap. You have one job to do,
right? No, but I mean, if you guys haven't seen the interview, guys, go watch the interview. Go watch the full press conference. It's on YouTube. It's everywhere. You can watch it. The press conference there wasn't a whole lot in the press conference. It was kind of just there were some hard hitting questions, but Posey was obviously media trained to not really answer any of the questions while being disrespectful to Farhan, which is fair. I mean, a lot more things are going to be coming out, guys. Just look out for that in articles. There was an article in like SF Gate, I think today, exposing a little more of the Farhan.
I sent that to Dan. I forgot about that article.
I mean, there's going to be a lot more stuff coming out in the next couple of weeks, because I think as I said before, it was a lot worse than we thought it was.
Kind of staying on Posey, guys. We know as a player, he played on a lot of teams that just had great pitching, great starting pitching, great relief pitching. Hitting was situational. Didn't have a lot of big boppers in the lineup. Do you think that his playing experience will translate to his front office in philosophy-wise, in that he's going to value pitching over hitting when it comes to slowly building the roster?
So I saw another interview, and it was with Papa, and I forgot the guy's name that works with
John
Papa
Lund.
And they said Buster's mind is pitching and defense. That's what won him championships. Now, you got to remember, all 3 championships he were on were all different, because they mentioned one team was dead last in home runs. Another team had the most pinch hit home runs, and the other one was sort of mediocre. So he's won it 3 different ways. But his mind, and then, of course, the first question is, are you going to go after Snell? And, of course, you can't talk about that until he becomes a free agent.
Yeah.
So he goes, well, you know, like I said, I think pitching, especially with this ballpark, pitching is 90%.
Yep.
You know, so if we can get good pitching, and then he brought back saying, hey, you know, with Chapman, you know, we really the last couple of years have been very below average. And he says, you know, what do you think? He goes, well, the thing is, you need a catcher. And, you know, they bought up Bailey and they said, yeah, he's good. But, you know, they said, well, he ran out of gas. Buster, what did you do? Because I guess Buster today, I didn't really see a difference, but he was 28 pounds lighter than when he played. I don't know if you heard about that too, where he said, you know, I had to work to play a whole season.
Yeah, I saw that whole interview. Yeah,
and Bailey's not at that yet. And he says, you know, you got to have a great catcher, a solid person in the infield. And he goes, you got to get an outfield that knows other people's minds, you know, and that's sort of like when you thought back, you know, some of these Giants, you know, you'd have a center field that would control, you know, center, right center, left center. And then you had the guys working the lines. And we haven't had that. I mean, my God, we haven't had a real first baseman. You know, we've had 19 straight years where we've had a different left fielder, you know, and we got to get back to having a set lineup and players in the right area. You know, it's not that he's going to get away from analytics, but, you know, you got to get people that know each other. And, you know, I mean, at least that's something different than Farhan, because, to tell you the truth, you know, it was tough. You know, you watch the Giants and they bring in a righty and all of a sudden you got a lefty and, you know, it's like, God, you know, it's, you know, the one good thing about the Giants is now, at least in the next couple of years, people are going to wear jerseys of people that are actually playing for us, not other teams or somebody that might be an old Hall of Famer that might have passed away.
Well, if he does, if he does focus on pitching and defense, we could probably cross out Soto coming here then. He's not going to pay big dollars to one hitter if that is in fact his philosophy. The other
what
thing,
about if he doesn't get Snell?
I don't know. I mean, I mentioned the guy, Yuichi, whatever his name is.
Kikuchi.
Just look at his stuff. Like, he's pretty filthy. I think he would be a good bargain.
He shut down the Giants when he threw against the Giants.
He's nasty. You know, when I watch a pitcher, I just look at his stuff, you know, and it's like, okay, if he gets in our ballpark and maybe he gets the right pitching coaches and maybe he tweaks this and tweaks that, you know, you can't teach nasty stuff.
No.
And
that's why I'm higher on Birdsong than Harrison.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm very high on Birdsong. Maybe put on a little weight, and maybe he could be a little bit more of a bulldog to go 6-7 innings, a la, you know, Webb. So yeah, but Buster's got to also understand that the game has changed a little bit, obviously, from 2010 through 2014. Yeah. So pitching and defense and timely hitting can get you through the playoffs and win you a championship. But if you don't make the playoffs, it won't matter.
It's a great point.
So you have to be able to have a team that can play in today's kind of baseball, that can get you to the finish line. And then what you do from there is try to win that world championship.
Nobody hitting the clutch.
Doing that. No, he's got to identify contact clutch hits, because that was a bless you. Huge bless you again. That is a huge problem.
Yeah.
There's a mute button. Bless you 3 times. We're gonna teach him how to use the mute button.
All right.
But no, they have to be able to identify who's out there, whether you trade for them or whether you get them as free agents, and quite frankly, who you draft. Like, stop, you know, go on. Elders could be great. He could be our middle of the order guy for the foreseeable future.
Sure.
You need guys on base in front of him. You need guys to hit behind him. So hopefully Buster understands that. Buster was on this team when I mentioned this the other night, when they got Marco Scutaro, they had a guy that I would venture to say in 2012, he might have been the RBI leader in the playoffs. And that's not a guy that hit home runs. But every single time there was second and third, it was either a base hit to drive in 2 or a sac fly. That guy was a machine. And I'm hoping that they get, you know, players like that.
Did you guys see the interview with Papa and Lund? I think
we were just talking about that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I sent that. Yeah. one of the questions, I can't remember if it was from that interview or another one, might have been a different one that was talking to Buster about, you won championships on teams that only hit like 130 home runs or something like that. Then you played, a couple of championships. Buster's big thing is pitching and defense. That's what he wants to build the team around. Pitching and defense, he mentioned. He says, I think if you play, you're gonna be in games, and I think you guys have probably already touched on it, but you gotta hit the you gotta have the contact hitters. You got to.
I'm gonna pull up Marco Scudero's stats from 2012 after he got traded to the Giants. Look at the highlighted year. Just look at that. Wait, no, not that. Wait. Nope.
Yeah, there it is.
This one. He hit 362 for the Giants in 61 games. 362. I mean, that's insane. The Giants don't have anyone close to that.
And you got to remember, he got taken out in the AL, the National League Championship Series.
Mm-hmm.
362.
Chapman took him out.
Holiday,
sorry. Yeah.
Man, he was so clutch.
362, but I bet you his average was probably even higher with runners in scoring position.
And before that, in 2010, Freddie Sanchez was sticking.
Yep.
He was, the Giants had some second.
And he was injured. He had like a half a shoulder.
Now that I think about it, they had Freddie Sanchez in 10, Scudero in 12, and Panic in 14. Like, they got a lot of production.
Cody Ross.
Second baseman.
Oh, second baseman.
Second baseman. They got those three guys. They got a lot of production from three guys. None of them were big power hitters. That's the kind of hitter I want the Giants to go back to. So Buster was on those teams. Yeah, hopefully he understands that. Man, Dan, if we see him at Fall League, I swear, I'm me, I don't trip off celebrities. I'll talk to him and mention that. He'll probably blow me off. Like, who are you, dude? But whatever.
Well, it'll be fun. But
Bora, you gotta come through, Bora.
I might do that, honestly. I have some free time. I'm going up to San Francisco on the 17th for the weekend. But I might. When does Fall League start?
October 7th till November 15th.
Okay.
So
do you need
5 weeks.
Do you need a wheelchair for your hip?
No, it's getting better. It's getting a lot better. It's getting a lot better.
Oh, did you?
I don't need any ibuprofen anymore.
Oh, good.
That's a good start.
One more thing about Buster Posey, or a couple. But I'm looking for Buster Posey to kind of mentor Patrick Bailey. I want to see that because we all know Patrick Bailey's great with his framing and throwing out the runners. But one thing that he isn't great at is blocking balls, and he drops a lot of balls. If you watch Patrick Bailey, when he tries to frame it, he drops a lot of balls. I want to see Posey get in Patrick Bailey's head and just mentor him about the game and the ins and outs of the catcher position. Because Patrick Bailey's great defensively, but once the automatic strike zone comes in, that framing value is going to go way down.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have to bolster some other things in
coming next year to spring training. I think
it's coming sooner than we all think.
Bailey put on about 25 pounds in the offseason, and he didn't look good in spring training.
He looked fat.
That wasn't a 25 pounds of muscle.
Buster looked like he could go out there and play shortstop today.
Yeah, Buster looked in good shape.
He looked good.
He looked in good
Dan,
shape.
during spring training, do you remember we saw somebody on the couch, a Giants prospect? Was that Luciano or Ramos where we go, oh my God, is he on the juice?
Matos. That was Matos.
Oh, that was Matos.
Yeah.
That's what a good offseason looks like.
Yeah. Matos, I think these guys, these younger guys, there's going to be some new opportunities. These guys, they're either going to get playing time or they're going to get dealt.
Yeah.
I don't think they're just going to. I mean, Farhan was like he was, storing nuts for winter like he was a squirrel. Like he never would make a move. He's just like, hey, let me just bring in as many people as I can, and the more guys I have, the more guys I can shuffle around, and I can move them off the 40, and I can sign this guy. I'll get rid of him. I'll DFA him. No one will pick him up, and I'll have another guy in my cupboard.
Yeah, I saw in the last 2 years we made 47 trades with Seattle.
What a joke.
47.
Oh my god!
What?
Yeah, maybe Farhan will go work for
That was his
Seattle
buddy was
now.
up there.
Yeah, maybe he'll go work for them.
We had some guys. We had some guys.
Wait a minute,
saw,
Lou. You're being facetious, right? He didn't make 47 trades.
Dude, we made more trades with Seattle.
You can't even make 47 trades in a season.
I understand that.
You do in fantasy.
Yeah.
I didn't even make that many this year.
We're talking guys, Now you got to remember a trade could be where they DF'd the guy, we picked him up, gave him a player to be named later. I mean, it was ridiculous because his buddy worked up there.
That's the only team he knew how to trade with. It's crazy.
Sad, kind of sad that Joey Bart was a casualty.
I think the organization really liked Joey Bart. I mean, the previous regime drafted Joey.
Well, John Barr drafted him, and you know what? This pisses me off the more I think about this. John Barr was mentioned today, and Buster's going to, rely on him. And John Barr drafted. And what did Farhan do to John Barr? He removed him as the top scout and pushed him somewhere far down the pecking order in the organization. He moved out a bunch of scouts. He brought in hundreds of computers. They had to convert their media room into an analytical room, and all these people that were brought in from MIT, Harvard, you name it, to basically run the baseball team for Farhan, and Farhan dictate to the manager who's starting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's sad. I mean, like you said, Bora, earlier, I think it's going to look a lot worse when things start getting more and more news comes out, and there's going to be a lot of stories about Farhan.
I guarantee it. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
But look what we just learned now.
Exactly. I think it was really kind of a shit show. It really was. No one knew what they were doing. It was a mess.
We had people that weren't baseball people, Bora.
Exactly.
You had all these techie geeks that were empowered as, they were thought of higher than the scouts.
Mm-hmm.
The freaking scouts. The scouts who are the backbone of any organization. You don't have good scouts, you have a crappy team.
Yep.
And the Giants got rid of a lot of scouts, and look at the drafts they've had, and look at the guys running around in the farm system that just, I mean, it's not good. It's not good. That's why Bleacher Report, I think, ranked them 30th out of 30 teams.
30th out of 30. Last thing I'll say before I think we're all going to head out.
All right, before you say anything, I noticed Ryan Ansley was in the chat, but I see he got out of here real quick. I was going to give him crap about his.
Oh, Ryan was in here?
He was in here briefly. He just texted me. He went in and he went out. He wanted to hear a little baseball because he's Mr. Football.
Oh, there he is. We're talking baseball here. Oh, you got it right there.
Yeah, but he's always wearing Giants hats, so I know he's a Giants fan. He's a baseball fan, but his channel's predominantly football. So
yeah, we'll get to football tomorrow night, guys.
Yeah,
tomorrow night, if you're watching here on YouTube and on X, if you play fantasy football, we got a show for you every Wednesday night. I think tomorrow's. You know what? We've got Dieter Kurtenbach coming on at 8:30 tomorrow to talk Giants. So let's move up can we move that up? I forgot about the that being Wednesday. 7:30. Want to do? Can we do it in an hour? The fantasy
Football?
show.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we usually do it in an hour.
Could be a big
All right.
night. Who knows? Maybe the Niners pull a surprise and they pick up Devontae Adams.
I've been hearing that, but didn't Devontae do a Justin Jefferson hamstring type? Didn't he get? Or is he okay? I heard he.
I think he's
I think
okay.
he's going to the Jets, but you never know.
I heard that. I heard that rumor. He wants to go to the Jets.
Cliff, tune in tomorrow. There's hope for you. Bora got off to a horrible start last year, and he came back. So tune into the show tomorrow, man. We'll give you some tips.
Mm-hmm.
0-4 right now. Ooh,
I was 0-5, 0-6.
guess what I am, guys, this year? 0-0.
And we still have him on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Dan is our trusted advisor this year. He's
I'm just in an
advisor role.
I'm giving you tips. I'll give you tips on things. I'm not going to be as up on the players this year as Los and Bora, because you know what? I'm taking a mental cleansing from me, because me gets in fantasy. Me can't control himself with reading every board, listening to every fantasy show on XM radio, trying to get the scoop, getting 3 or 4 different fantasy publications and studying,
Texting me at 4 a.m.
studying at 2-3 in the morning and figuring, they're asleep. I'll text them. They're on do not disturb anyway. So they'll get it when they wake up. And you know what? I needed a break from it. I needed a break. Look, I put in enough work. I won football and I won baseball, and I'm done. I'm done. I can't. You know what? If you know yourself well enough to know you can't stop something, you got to just have some discipline, right? And say stop.
yeah.
Hey, we're 2 shows in, and go back and watch if you don't believe me. But me and Bora and Dan, to a certain extent, have been pretty right on some players and some sleepers and some defenses and all that to pick up.
I didn't spend any money, Aaron, on this baseball league. I did spend a little money last year on football, but less than my earnings. But baseball, I was like, nah, I'm not spending anything. But
well, you could be an assistant or a partner on my team.
Special advisor,
junior partner.
All right. I'll say my piece, then we'll get out of here. One of the main things, we were talking about it before, but players not knowing their roles in this team the past 6 years. I think that's one of the main things on why this team has been so unsuccessful. If you know your role, if you know you're a center fielder and you're going to be the everyday center fielder, you're going to get comfortable and you're going to wind down and you're going to have a pretty good year. If you know you're the second baseman, if you know you're the everyday second baseman of the San Francisco Giants, you're gonna play better. You're gonna have more team chemistry. You're gonna have a lot more good things. I mean, Lou, you had mentioned it. This team hasn't had a back-to-back left fielder in 19 years, right? I mean, left field, it's platooned. Center field, for the most part, this year was platooned. Right field was platooned. First base was platooned. Second base was platooned. Shortstop was platooned. The only 2 positions on the field were catcher and third base. You had Matt Chapman and Patrick Bailey that were solidified. That's the main thing I think that needs to change. It's just
sorry, go ahead.
Get more players that know their roles and that play a single position for 120 games plus.
And I think, they talked about that when they had the anniversary of the Core 4. Mm-hmm. Each one knew when to be ready for the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And I think that, like, if you saw Duvall, he had no clue except how to be the stopper. When he pitched the 7th, 8th inning, he didn't care. He didn't know where he was at. And I thought with us guys, we had so many openers back and forth. I thought that was another problem with our bullpen. Except for Jordan Hicks until he ran out, you weren't sure who was pitching nightly.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Great
and
point.
then some of the other things, we pitch guys 3 innings one day, you know, a break, then 5 innings. That's why who's our pitcher, the guy 6'8" pitcher?
Jelly.
Yeah, Shelley. That's why he ran out of gas. You know,
Jelly.
it was bad. But no, I think knowing your role is a big key.
Silence.
Yeah, Sean Jelly.
Hey, I just thought of something hilarious. God, my mind works so weird, man. So Charlie Sheen and Tom Berenger started in Major League. He was the goofball pitcher out of prison. He was the veteran catcher. But before they started Major League, which is a baseball movie, they started a movie called Platoon, a war movie.
Oh, yeah.
How crazy is that?
Oh my
That
goodness.
should be the Giants logo the last 5 years. Just
Platoon.
Just have that movie poster.
That should be that should have been their sponsor. That should have been instead of Nothing Like It. Platoon.
And
Yeah,
then
same
they
logo, too,
and then they
just
hook up.
nothing like
They
crappy
hook up
ball.
and do a baseball movie. Bora, that's an old school movie. You should watch it. It's a good movie.
Platoon. It's just called Platoon.
Platoon. It's a Vietnam movie. Good movie.
Okay.
Kim, after Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, that's old school.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Boy, random thought.
Yeah.
Well,
Guys, we will shut this thing down. Check us out tomorrow night, 7:30. We'll move it up. There will be we'll do fantasy football hour Wednesday night. We'll talk about the upcoming games, some sleepers, who to pick up, who to maybe waive, who to move off of, who to stream maybe for your defense. You might want to pick up those Denver Broncos defense, huh? We'll talk about that tomorrow night.
Ryan.
Lou,
And
do you tune into the fantasy football show? Hello,
Lou. Oh, were you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No, I didn't even know you guys had one. Sorry.
Yeah, Wednesday nights. It's usually at 8, but it'll be 7:30 tomorrow night because I booked. I forgot that Dieter Kurtenbach tomorrow.
Yeah, I want to hear about Kirkenbach. I want to hear
Yeah,
more about
that'll
this.
be good. He'll be talking because he's got a theory, that the Giants are desperate by hiring Buster. So he might be right.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear that. And remember, 4 playoff games tomorrow again.
Yeah. So we'll cover all that, and in the 8:30 show, 7:30 just be about fantasy football.
8:30.
Tell your friends out there if they're playing fantasy football to check it out. You'll get advice from Los and Bora on some players. I have some players I watch, I'm watching, but I'm not watching every game like I did last year. I had every game on the screen last year with the Sunday NFL ticket. Now I don't have it this year. But the one thing, check it out because you would have made some good moves last week.
Xavier
Legette. And
nice call.
Yeah,
that was a nice call. Mm-hmm.
But we won't mention anything about love or anything like that. We won't mention.
Ouch.
Oh,
I'll bring that up on the show.
Yeah, that's okay. Hey, it happens to all of us. It happens to all of us. So, guys, thank you for being. Appreciate it. The banner says 8 o'clock tomorrow, but it'll be 7:30, guys. It'll be 7:30 tomorrow night. So for Bora, for Los, for Lou, Dan saying so long. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you.